Well, hello, Will. How you doing?
Hello, Ellie. Welcome back. I feel like it's been so long since we last had our chats.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some holidays in the middle, so it's been a few days. And welcome back to everyone to the Live China Music Podcast.
And this is episode 7, and we are so excited to be bringing you new music from mainland China. And I really just want to get right into it because this track has been on repeat in my home for pretty much this last month. So yeah, let's get into it. Our first track is a new one from Beijing-based Run Run Run, and the name of the track
is Cai Cha, Picking Tea. Let's do it.
So that was Run Run Run. They are a Beijing-based, I guess you could say, psychedelic rock outfit. And as you can tell from their sound, like they have a very southern China. A lot of their members hail from Guiyang and Guizhou. And so it has this very old school, folksy, like canto pop sound, very retro. Maybe something you would come across in an old school KTV somewhere.
And it's also something that reminds me of Southeast Asia. There's a place I really like in Bangkok called Zhang Records. And they have all this crazy good music, molam and other styles from the 70s, the 60s of Thailand. And I feel there's a bit of crossover there as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yes, this track is off of a new 7-inch EP from Space Fruity Records, a really kind of awesome label based out of Beijing. And it's kind of like in compilation with a previous 7-inch EP that they released last year that kind of follows the same suit, you know, 2 tracks of kind of very... it just goes down so nicely, and I've been kind of I even feel like lots of Talking Heads, like Little Creatures era kind of single there. It's just it just puts a smile across your face almost immediately.
So the lyric is super simple, like maybe like a nursery rhyme, and it's just light and positive, like the whole music. And there's a line that comes back. 亲爱的朋友别伤心，总有一天我们会相遇. So dear friend, don't be sad. One day we will meet again. And it's the kind of track you can listen to doing pretty much anything, washing your dog or on a run or whatever it is you're going to do is just going to bring some smiles.
Wow. And is that what you were up to this holiday, Ellie? Washing your dog?
Yes, there's something I endeavor to do once every 6 months or so.
Oh, okay. Speaking of which, how were your holidays?
We took it easy, just stayed in Kunming, had a very late night with some friends, musicians and all that. maybe drinking a little bit too much. But beyond that, just long walks. The weather's wonderful now. It's the spring, and just recharging the batteries.
Wow, sounds great. Yeah, it was I don't want to say it was easy going for me. I mean, I did go a little hard, maybe overextended myself a bit, running around to Suzhou, to Hangzhou, trying to catch as many shows as I could. And it just kind of it just got out of hand a little bit too quickly there. But was happy to catch up with some old friends from Beijing. Was happy to catch a couple bands like Riot and School, who we covered on this show before. They put on a phenomenal show. So if anyone, wants to check them out while they're on their tour, please do so. Amazing.
Good holidays all over, and now back into the thick of it and more music.
Let's continue, down this folk route we're going on right now. And what's our next track here, Ellie?
The next track is 烈日独行, Walking Alone Under a Scorched Sun by Instinkto Industrio.
Okay, that was Instinkto Industrio with Walking Under a Scorching Sun. These guys are from your neck of the woods, Ellie, right?
Yeah. So yeah, they're based in Kunming, yeah.
And these guys are kind of like, rustic folk heroes of this kind of modern day contemporary China. And please tell us a little more about them.
I mean, there's a lot to say about this band, which we can't really cover right here. We mentioned them previously a couple times, actually. So when I introduce them, usually I say they're a cross between Vysotsky and La Rue Quétanou, which for maybe 95% of people doesn't mean anything. Do you know Vysotsky?
I do not.
Right.
I don't think I do. I can't believe.
Yeah. Well, when you mentioned like folk hero, Vysotsky is one of those. He was a Russian singer who was pretty amazing. So, but musically and also in terms of the themes that he was talking about. And La Rue Quétanou is a French folk band, and they also use the accordion and this kind of unplugged kind of sound, which we find with Instinkto Industrio. This is their second album. It just came out on April the 1st. The first one came out late 2023, so a little over a year and a half ago. It was critically acclaimed, and this is very much in the continuation of this first album. They mix a lot of metaphors. There always many different layers of meaning into their texts, and it does get a bit political.
But even if you put that aside, I just think there's so much to kind of to enjoy here. Just the how good like these instruments sound, this flute and the accordion, how just it's kind of just rich in a kind of full of life, this music, despite what much of it is commenting on or the lyrical content. But I just, it's really, even compared to their debut, I find this one a lot more easier to access and to enjoy.
They definitely have been, working on their craft. They were looking at including a percussionist, how to make it work with the whole vision of Bokai, who's the singer and the main drive behind the band. I'll mention quickly the flute because that's kind of interesting. Their flute player is Japanese and she does not speak Chinese at all. So they've been communicating with translation apps this whole time and with music. So they're an interesting band, very interesting band.
Yeah, shall we continue with something? Let's go. If that was contemporary folk here in China, let's go over to something a little more seeped in the ancient kind of flavor of folk music in China.
Yes, this is Dao Zui Reverse Mouth, which I'll explain in a second, from Lu Jiangbo. So this track is essentially talking about the life of common people and their daily lives, working hard, eating, fighting, talking about hard times. I find it remarkable because it is sung in Wenling dialect, which I cannot speak at all. But they do provide translations in the lyrics, and they use a lot of very old idioms, which they had to explain to Chinese listeners as well. So that was kind of fun. And Dao Zui, the name of the track, means reverse mouse, which is an idiom it means to say bad things behind one's back. And it's got a sound that there's a big school, I think, of Chinese musicians that use traditional instruments, traditional like folk sounds and singing types or dialects, and this is very much in that realm.
Which kind of makes sense because this record does come from Bad Head Records, which is a offshoot of Modern Sky that's been around pretty much as long as that label has, and they've kind of indulged more in the kind of avant-garde, kind of more off the beaten road kind of folk music, which is pretty awesome. I think they're almost they've been putting out a lot of stuff recently, and on this record you will hear accompanying our main guy here, lot of the experimental scenes, like most prolific acts, like guitarist Li Jianhong, and on this track, Zhang Meng, who's playing the how do you pronounce it? The sheng?
Sheng, yeah.
That's kind of that, multiple piped vertical flute.
It's a reed instrument, and some people say that it's actually the ancestor to the harmonica.
Okay. And it's just awesome to kind of have these these mercenary performers just come in and join in. And if you're curious about that sound, I do recommend checking out I can't believe I have to say this out loud. Dusty Ballz, a label based in London who's putting out a lot of really awesome avant-garde noise, experimental music from a lot of China, including Zhang Meng, who just put out a release, I think, like a couple days ago from when we're recording this.
Excellent. And I think this is a good moment to segue into a different vibe of music, although the next track still retains a lot of this folk sound.
And our next track is from electronic producer Dai with Laolang Temple and Suchang Street. Let's have a listen. Gotta love that. So this album is kind of a tribute to her, her hometown. She's not based there anymore, but she tries to, I guess, do like go down memory lane. So electronic producer Daya, she's kind of been making little waves on Bandcamp with her, I guess you would call this like sound collage electronica. Particularly on this release, it has very anthropological edge to it. She's trying to essentially pay tribute to her hometown by using field recordings, by using, these nice traditional instruments, and all combined with like, I guess, ambient music and sometimes these glitchy kind of beats, and it's really just woven so well together. The ambient music scene in China, there's a lot to dig into, and I just I love these kind of sounds, bring in all these different elements to kind of place you in a certain scene at a certain time. And I just like when that is ever so tweaked slightly into something more modern and more, what we would think is contemporary electronic music. And so, yeah, she's doing that so well. Definitely check out BA Records, who have been, putting out some really distinct work over the past years.
Yeah, they're doing an excellent job at promoting their artists too. So big up to them. Let's segue into some more electronic music and something a little weirder, I would say.
Oh yeah, for sure.
生活 by DJ 小女孩.
Okay, DJ Shao Nuhar, which is what, essentially like DJ girl?
DJ little
girl?
Yeah.
So yeah, as you can, hear, we're not really specifying the gender of this producer because besides it being unclear, we just want to pay our respects to, artists can be identified however they want to be.
And that's a good time also to mention in our previous episode, we talked about a track by Aded, and they don't identify with either gender, so their pronouns are they, it, and we failed to mention that last time, so apologies to Aded.
This is off of the producer's latest Toe 7. Is that how would you say?
Tochi Head 7.
And so this is a bit, this is going to take a bit to unravel because essentially, this is kind of a made up persona. And this whole album is kind of, playing out kind of a eulogy in many ways for for like a young girl in a city, Breaking Bad, that kind of thing. I mean, this is just wild. Like, there's so many things going on in this sound. The kind of, you have this glitch pop, this kind of deconstructed club music. You got that kind of Grimes kind of blurriness of just blending everything in together. And you get those kind of horror movie screams, and it's just so much fun, despite its kind of weird, heady, trippy, maybe dark kind of narrative behind it.
It feels very conceptual. There's a lot happening. There's a whole world behind this album, and which was released on April 4th. And I'm amazed also at how productive they've been because there's 3 albums that were released in 2024 already. And this is like the 4th,
Yeah. I just love how much it's weaponizing a lot here. There's like a lot of samples, which I don't think they were ever... that never made it past like the approval cut, but he's just weaponizing like all these kind of Mandopop samples that in between here, and there's like whispering going on. It's yeah, as you said, it has a very conceptual kind of idea to it, but it works so well even individually. I think I think it works better as a whole. The whole album, like if you want to just play through it, it kind of does go on this narrative. It does feel like a journey, but track by track too. It's great.
You can see they have a lot of influences. You mentioned Grimes. I could hear Skrillex in parts. The sampling,
yeah. Even from like within China, like I hear like Salvia D, who is another kind of Asian funeral kind of techno style of music, and lots of like chanting, lots of it's really wild, very wild and exciting. So where do we go from here? How about this? We're heading. We're on the tail end. We're heading towards the end, the finale. Let's lighten it up a bit. Let's bring a little joy back.
Yes, get something from the Bootlegs.
Something breezy. Let's get something breezy here. Let's get a little like that lo-fi dream pop breezy retro sound going again, all right?
Let's do it.
And this is the Bootlegs with Concrete Surfing.
What a nice note to finish this episode on.
So yeah, that's the Bootlegs from Qingdao, the famous coastal city. If anyone's ever had a beer in China, you've probably have drank in a Qingdao. And so the Bootlegs have been around for quite a while now. Their 2021 record was one of my favorites of that year. And they've been, consistently jumping into this kind of nostalgic lo-fi indie sound. It has a bit of that surf pop charm, dream pop. It's just real good, jangly, it goes down so nice and easy.
And what would you say is concrete surfing?
Oh, come on. I think you ask any kid this, they know exactly what that is. Skateboarding, my man.
Yeah, and that's, what they're talking about on that track. Just having the best times drinking and skateboarding.
Yeah. Yeah, I do believe they have a music video as well. And so, yeah, if you want to jump on YouTube and check that out, it's lots of fun.
Have you seen them perform live?
Yeah, I have seen them perform live. I think when they first started off, they were able to do it as a two-piece. But now it's a full-on band. They're hot shots now, so they can bring in a lot of people. And so I think they must be a trio. I wouldn't be surprised if they're at a four-piece status now, but yeah, they can get this all done as a trio. And so, yeah, keep your eyes peeled. I'm pretty sure this is the first single off of a forthcoming new LP from them. So, looking forward to that from Shenzhen Records.
Right. So, what do we have planned? What's going on?
What do we got planned? more music, more episode. That's what we got planned.
Yep. More music coming up. More music being released all the time. You know, I was having a meeting at Nettie's in Beijing a couple of weeks ago, and they have 3 million songs released every month. So there's a lot of music coming out.
Yeah, well, we'll try to get through as many of those as we can. But till then, hold on to your horses and meet back up with us in 2 weeks when we'll be dropping our next episode.
Right on. And I forgot to mention something. Actually, people can take a look at the description in the episodes, because we write in the links to the tracks. So if people like a track that they've heard here, when we can find a link to a platform like Spotify or Bandcamp, we'll put it in the episode description. Check it out.
Yeah, exactly. And if you do come across any track you think that we should be listening to, please throw it our way. Always happy to have more music to listen to. So thanks again, everyone, for listening to the Live China Music Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.